$30 a tap. And that's a 1.7% $30 tap. Oh my God. I am going to give Amazon and Smilegate 10 days. They're going to have 10 days to solve this problem. Because if they don't, on the 11th day, I will do a whaling stream and show everybody in the game how pay to win it really is. So now let's go ahead and start it. So unpopular opinion from a Korean user on the ARGOS issue, and let's see it. Let's see what they gotta say.
Hello everyone and my dear subscribers. So I've been streaming on Twitch for the past couple of weeks, and it has been great how I was able to make live communication with fellow Lost Ark fans. There were some great comments about the game, but lately I've been getting a lot of questions like, how do you feel about early ARGOS release and the honing chances? From my understanding, there's been a huge opinion forming on how ARGOS was released too early for how difficult and bad the honing rates are to get from 1340 gear score to 1370 gear score, which is the entry level for ARGOS Abyss raid. From my point of view, I think this is a positive thing. In my opinion, any opinion on games, negative or positive, is better than none. It means that people care about the game.
People care about the game, that's true.
However, it does not mean that things can just go unnoticed. And I, for once, am going to defend the game a little bit here in this video.
Thank God we actually have an interesting conversation. Thank God. Because like every time, like everybody basically agrees with me, and I still think that I'm right. I think this guy's ultimately wrong, probably. It depends like what he's saying. But I'm glad that we actually have somebody else talking about something. It's more interesting this way, you know?
Now, if you've seen my opinions video, you would know that I'm not shy to talk something bad about Lost Ark. People come in my stream and ask me how Destroyer is, because I main Destroyer, and
big mistake.
There was this leak about Destroyer release, and I give it to them straight. I tell them Destroyer is a bad class at the moment and it's not ready for West release.
See, it's bad class because it's not a Berserker. That's why it's a bad class. You know, if it was a Berserker, it would be way better. I think that it's just that simple. Yeah, like Destroyer is just a Berserker with a shorter sword. That's it. It's a shorter sword. Who cares about that?
I give my honest opinion, and I'm not usually trying to defend the game unconditionally. With that said, my defense for the current situation in the West will be based on my opinions. You have every right to think otherwise, and if you do think otherwise, then you're right. So recently during my stream, something epic happened. I succeeded on my plus 24 weapon at 1.7% success rate. As soon as a fellow content creator, Indie Mate,
wait a second,
on my plus
how
24
much did it cost for him to even do a tap on that? He can put 48, 10 of these, and 8 of these all in at the same time? Oh my God. $30 a tap. And that's a 1.7% $30 tap? Oh my God. I want to watch this. Here we go.
Success rate. As soon as a fellow content creator, Indie Mate, rated me with his viewers. Thank you, Indie Mate. You are my lucky charm. So I was going to upload the whole honing process, and then I got scared because people might quit after seeing the current KR honing chances and the mass required. It starts with 0.5%, and then with the breaths you increase.
Fucking 1600 item level with 37,000 attack power? God fucking damn, man. That is insane. That's for plus 24. Guys, we need to get there today. We really need, guys, we need to get there today. There's going to be a lot of, we've really got to come together today as a stream, as a community, and really just make this happen, okay? Like, wouldn't that be cool if you guys got to see me with the plus 24 weapon? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Increase the chances up to 1.5, and after a couple of taps, it goes up to 2% until 100% petty gauge. Each try is worth about $30 US, a nice piece of steak at a very decent restaurant. And
God fucking damn. God fucking damn. 30, so he's actually being serious about it. Now listen, one time, like we went to a business meeting, right? And like this one of a partner that we were working with, or not really partner, it's a person that we were going to work with, right? Took us out to a business dinner, and we went to this restaurant downtown. It was a steak restaurant. S-Fan orders a $200 steak. And then S-Fan, after he's done with that steak, And he didn't even finish the whole thing. He orders a second $250 steak to go. He's like, let me get this to go. And then the person there, he was like, bro, like, we're boys. This is on the company card. Do you want another one? He didn't even really give a fuck. It was a funny thing. Yeah, we weren't paying for that shit at all, right? Yeah, they took us out to eat. Like, I just got an 8-ounce fucking steak. That's about it for me, man. But, like, I thought about it. Write-off millionaire? No, bro, like, the thing is, he didn't pay for it. It wasn't his money. It was the company that paid for it. Not OTK, the company that took us out.
And judging from the responses from Western audience about honing chances, I couldn't help but worry a bit for the future of this game in the West, which is the reason why I'm making this video. Okay, so in 2021 Loa Mini Convention, Smilegate did officially admit that 1340 to 1370 is the 폐사 구간, which directly translates to
How the fuck are we gonna have them last year with a chart that says, hey, it ain't that bad? And it's like the red line is the one that everybody they already have the data. It's like, hey, basically we have a hammer and we want you to hit yourself in the head with it. Well, what happens? Oh, we've already done testing and it gives you brain damage. Well, then why do you want me to do it? Well, here it is. Go ahead. We're waiting. Come on. Let's see it. It's like, how the fuck? How the fuck? This is so crazy, man. This is the exact graph. Wait, this is the exact graph that I made in Paint. So I was right. Look at that. How about it? Isn't that crazy? I was right again.
suffocate to death stage. People were quitting because of the grindiness and the honing fails. It was hard because the amount of gold or materials we were making was not nearly enough to speed through the segment.
Ain't that interesting? Ain't that just a little bit of something that gets the brain doing a little bit of jogging? Ain't that just a little bit of thinking? Ain't that crazy?
However, those were the rates from when Argos was the end-to-end content and it was supposed to be challenging to get there. And Smilegate did announce during the convention that they're going to...
Well, if it's challenging to get there, then why is it not challenging to get past it? Like, there's a reason why this one is in red. It's because it's bad.
Buff the honing chances for this segment. However, this was done months after the Legion raids were released when most of the users were at least at 1430 to 1475 gear score and getting ready for 1490 a bullshit Legion raid. So what Smilegate did here basically is that they buffed the honing chances for new KR users who were coming into the game. They implemented the honing chances as a catch-up mechanic for the newbies to be caught up to the players who've been playing the game for years or months at least.
Well, couldn't you just offset that? Couldn't you say that the honing chances would allow people to catch up to the whales in this case? Because there are people that are 1400 plus. And like there are people that are 1430, etc., right? And you still want them to be able to catch up to the whales too.
I mean, the suffocate to death stage was also called by the name of newbie shutdown stage. They had to do something for the inflow of new users. Lost Ark is known to be harsh on pay-to-win players, grindy on free-to-play players, and tend to make it easy for new players or casual players to enjoy the new content by eventually catching up.
And that's why so many people like Stoops, people shit on Stoops, right? They're like, Stoops, fucking idiot, you thought it respected our time and then this happens. Like, it's not his fault they did this. Like, because from his perspective, he was right. That's the thing. And like, so in my mind, like, I see this. So like Korea has already, like Smilegate has already identified this point in the game as a weak point. This is already a bad point in the game. Why repeat the same problem? Why do it again? What is the purpose of this?
On top of that, during the Loan event, shortly after they talk about the honing buff in the Suffocate stage, the director talks about closing the gap between high gear players and the lower gear player base.
That's what makes sense, right? Money, here's why I think that's stupid, okay? Is that the whales are going to whale already. The whales don't care about getting up to 1370. The whales are trying to get to 1470. They don't care about meeting the Argos threshold in the first place because they were already beyond it before Argos even got announced. Like, whales are going to whale regardless. As long as you give them something like this to whale on, they will do it. As long as there's a number that they can get to, they will whale. The only people that they're really doing this for are people that are 1340 to 1370. That is like a fraction of the percent of the player base, and you are making their experience worse. You are damaging the reputation of the game because everybody else who isn't there yet knows that they will get there, and whenever they get there, the experience will be bad. All the whales don't give a fuck because they already spent their money and they're sitting in their stronghold that's level 5 while they're 1450 item level. It doesn't matter to them either way, or maybe they're sitting out a 3-day ban. Either way is they're chilling. They're fucking fine. It's not a big deal whatsoever. Like, what I'm saying is that, like, Amazon is not making that much money off of making 1370 hard to get to, because the amount of people that are trying to get to 1370 is very, very small. It is a small amount of people, and the reputation that it's creating for the game, which is, by the way, earned, in my opinion, is vastly outweighing the small amount of money that they're getting out of this. This is awful.
Basically, to sum up director's idea behind this is that Smilegate wanted the newbies to get to the main content quick, and by main content I mean Legion race, and close the gap over some period of time.
Makes sense.
They really care about the new players and tend to have newbie friendly patches where the gap between high gear score players and low gear score players is not too huge to the point where there's like a huge wall between the two player base. I'm not going to lie, I was against one of the decision to limit the weekly gold earning to only 6 characters. It was a newbie-friendly decision. They wanted to handle the gold inflation, and people who had been playing the game for a long time with more than 6 characters in their character slots gave up their other characters, in this case, their source of gold, in order for newbies with less characters making less gold. Smilegate had to make the newbies gold.
I think that's a good thing, because in my opinion, this is just how I feel about the game, and this is also like a personal opinion. I don't know if this is necessarily the right opinion, but I think this is my personal opinion, is that I don't want to have to play alts. I want to be able to play alts, but I don't want to feel like I have to play an alt to feed my main, or I have to play an alt in order to get something out of it. Like, I want it to be a bonus, not a requirement. And I think that if you add in a lot of these like extra things that you can do in order to get more gold or more resources on your alts, what you're doing is you're making it to where people feel like they have to use their alts and they have to play their alts regularly. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's indirectly forcing you have 60k alts, you're not affected by it. Well, all right, let me explain what I would do if I was affected by it. Because you're right? And the reason why I only have one character and I'm so far along is because people traded me materials, right? 100%. Like, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. I would just be sitting at like 1320 or 1340 right now. I wouldn't even be doing Argus. In my opinion, I probably would have stopped playing the game until they change it. That's probably what it is. Or I'd be doing like secondary content, like Island Souls and stuff like that. That's what I would have done. You'd be in tier 2? No, I wouldn't. Are you kidding me? I was a server first level 60. Server second, actually. I took 2 days off. And I still got server second level 60 in New World. Do you really think I couldn't grind? Are you crazy? You don't know shit. If I want something, I just get it. I don't think about it. I don't worry about it. I just get it. Do you think you'd enjoy the game if you only had resources without viewers pitching in? I think that I would enjoy the game less. And I think that I would focus more on doing other content that was more enjoyable, and I would ultimately play the game less. So, like, would I enjoy the game as, like, an absolute yes or no? Yes, I would still enjoy the game. Would I enjoy it as, did you get 1400 today? Not yet, guys. We've got to really come together. But, like, listen, what I'm saying is that I would enjoy it less, and I would be more frustrated with the changes, for sure. And you're not demonizing the people who play alts, though, right? What? Why would I do that? I just don't want it to be mandatory content. I don't feel like I don't enjoy that. That's all. Yeah, I just simply don't enjoy that.
Worth more in value. Moreover, Smallgate also has a history of purposely capping the gear score at one point to close the gap. By gap, I mean gap between 3-year veterans and the newbies.
Yeah.
Now, this was KR, and the question would be, how does this relate to the Western version?
Right.
So judging from the KR experience and history, in my personal opinion, I think Smallgate, probably after discussing with Amazon, purposely didn't buff the honing chances for 1370 because they want tier 1 and tier 2 players to be somewhat on the same page. There are people who've been watching streams, YouTube videos, and guides and were able to reach somewhat close to 1370 free to play.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there are players, probably more than you think, who are still learning the game and slowly progressing below tier 3 contents. I mean, it is an MMO and the game's been out for barely 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been like a little bit
Today,
over a month.
March 16th, 2022, when I went into a tier 1 Yoho Guardian raid.
So, like, what he's basically saying is that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but what he's basically saying is that they're not buffing the rates because they don't want to have players get too far ahead. Is that effectively what he's saying? Yes. Nice stuff, Animate. Thanks, Peo. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I really don't, because if they cared about that, they would have capped the item level a lot lower than 1490. Like, the fact that players can go all the way up to 1490 now is, like, just, that's insane with gear. So, like, if they really cared about that, they would do that. And also, like, tier 1 and tier 2, this is introductory content. Like, the amount of time that it takes you to go from 1350 to 1370 is longer than the time that it takes you to go from tier 1 to tier 3. Like, that's not really a... and I think that also not buffing the honing rates would be totally fine if Argus was 1355. But if you put content in the game that realistically and reasonably people probably have to spend money to get to, I would say over 90% of people that are 1370 and above paid real money. It's very different than like keeping content in the game versus keeping content in the game that then requires you to spend money to get to that threshold. Because if the threshold was never there at 1370, like let's say if like right now they added a boss that was like 1430 item level or something like that, I think people would not like that either, because it just gives those players, and in a way, actually, now that I think about it, this actually works against the point in a lot of ways, because there's a 1370 piece of gear that you can get, or sorry, raid that you can do, it actually increases the gap between whales and serious players and people that aren't. Because like now you have these people in tier 2, and not only are they in tier 2, they have to look forward to lower honing rates unless they pay money, and then after that, then they have to get to 1370, which these other people have already been in for a long time, getting a ton of fucking gear. And so now that gap is even bigger. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? To be fair, there's going to be a gap regardless. There's going to be a gap, but I think the way that you design it is bad. Yeah, your decisions, you don't make decisions for a top 10% or bottom 10%. That's why these takes are so wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think too. I feel like just the average player, but like what I do think matters is like perception of the game. Like perception of the game absolutely matters. Tier 2 and tier 1 players wouldn't know about the honing rates at all in tier 3. Yeah, they would. A lot of people would know because they're talking about it. The wall should come after the entry of new content. There you go. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah, thank you, man. I think that the wall, whatever that wall should be, should come after you get past the threshold to enter the content. That's... Yeah, I mean, like you said it better than I did. It's that simple.
By matchmaking, I would flare, and I saw other players move in different directions, climbing the cliff onto a different location, not knowing where the mob is. I was streaming, and my viewers are my witnesses. Yeah. If they buff the honing chances from 1340 to 1370 at this point, I think there would be even a bigger gap between the lower geared score players and the players in the tier 3 pushing for 1370. And it seems to me, judging by the fact that they nerfed Tier 1 and Tier 2 Guardian raids due to the fact that vast majority of people weren't clearing these raids.
I thought they nerfed them, but didn't they originally buff the Tier 1 and Tier 2 Guardians? Because like my experience is that maybe it's just because I'm better at the game than I was whenever I first started. But like the HP is some other things. Yeah, I don't really know. But only health, yeah, I have no idea. Either way, I feel like the Tier 3 Guardians have been easier. And like also, not just like a bit easier, a lot easier. Like I think the Tier 3 Guardians are substantially easier. I had a harder time doing Verdas and doing the Scorpion than I did doing any of the Tier 3 bosses. Like, I have never... Actually, wait, that's not true. I have wiped once in a Tier 3 Guardian raid. That's it, in an actual party. Whenever I would do it, like in Tier 2 especially, I would wipe all the time. Like, we almost wiped on Frost Helgia. Like, yeah, fuck Tytalos. Yeah, Tytalos is harder than all those other ones. Wait till you get to Velganos. Well, I mean, if I get enough stuff today, I will. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was playing for 100 hours, 10% of the game content. For a free game, that's amazing. I would never complain about free stuff. I think that, like, it's... I don't know about complaining. It's like, I feel like the word complaining is, like, used to almost... it's like to invalidate what people think. I don't really think this is necessarily complaining. It's... we just want to see it better. We just want the game to be better, right? That's it. Just want the game to be better. Like, there's no, like, crazy stuff or anything like that. Criticism, yeah, we just want the game to be better. This is extreme complaining? No, I really don't think so. I mean, it's like, was Smilegate complaining whenever they said that the red bar is, like, is bad? Like, I mean, they said, like, right here. Like, look. See if I can find it.
Race from
like, identifying a problem is not necessarily complaining. Yeah, this is... I'm trying to get... like, I'm genuinely trying to give constructive feedback here.
Weren't clearing these raids just tells me that they care about the players in the lower tiers. And that they don't want this gear score gap between the players already happening only 5 weeks after the launch of the game.
But Argos creates that. Like, having the 1370... this is what I think that this guy's missing, is Argos creates that gap. Argos makes that gap even more pronounced. Like, because Argos gives people access, like 1370 gives you access to getting legendary gear with a higher honing upgrade chance than the gear that you previously received. So it's easier to go from 1370 to 1375 than it is to go from 1365 to 1370. Yeah, Ori, yeah, the fucking Ori as well.
Do understand pushing for 1370 can be frustrating. I mean, Argos is right there. And honestly, I think things wouldn't have been this bad if there weren't leaks about the honing buffs. Hold on, it's not even a leak. AGS posted it and took it down, right? Also, I think a lot of this is coming from comparing the KR server to the Western version, which is sort of like looking at a black belt Taekwondo master doing a 720-degree back kick, and you want to do it yourself when you've just joined the Taekwondo Academy. Trust me, the black belt might look fancy, but we have torn ACLs and other injuries here and there. Well, anyways, the difference between KR server and Western server is definitely something that needs to be caught up as soon as possible, because I know you guys don't want to be getting contents behind KR forever. I mean, of course. You want us to be on the same page, right? Getting new contents together at the same time.
This boss fight looks so cool.
But that's just something which will take time inevitably. I mean, all this issue right now, when you look back a couple of months later, is probably nothing. You'll be looking at newbies that are coming in with the honing buffs telling them...
You know what? He's right. He is absolutely right. And you know who else was right whenever they said this exact same thing? Preach. Do you remember back at the beginning of before Shadowlands came out, and he said that Covenants won't even matter whenever the game comes out? There's going to be a million other problems that are even worse. And like, everyone was like, no, dude, Covenants are going to ruin the expansion. And like, he actually was right. Like... It's like Covenants were the least of our problems. Yeah, he was totally fucking right about that. And it's just, have you planted the Erd tree yet? Yes, I did. It's right over. Oh, you guys can't see it. I'll have to change the thing. Yes, I planted both of them earlier. Isn't it an obvious bait? 1370 will give you an opportunity to get really good stuff, and the idea will force more people to swipe, but more people that wouldn't in a normal case scenario. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think that that's like the perception of that has really damaged the game. I think that's been extremely damaging.
Stories starting by, man, when I was 1340, you are going to find yourself with more challenging content, building your character with engravings, tripods, gems, quality in the cards. You're also going to face more challenging raids like Fulton, Vicus, Kagulseidon, Abroshut, and more. Argos is just Argos. Having said that, that does not change the fact that many people had unpleasant experience the past few weeks.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not saying people should just suck it up because unpleasant experience was there.
True.
Games are supposed to be fun,
True.
but many people were unhappy with the cruel honing rates.
True.
How can Smilegate and Amazon fix this? The Rooney Racing event, to me, it seems like a card they pulled out in a hurry to solve some of the material shortage for honing.
Which was smart, by the way. I thought that was a very smart decision. Lancemaster looks so fast. Yeah, I think so. By that logic, why play now and not come back in 6 months? I don't really mean by... I'm not really sure what you mean. Yeah, this fight looks fucking sick. What the fuck? There's a reason why player base went up whenever these fights started coming out, right? Like, I mean, there's a reason for that. And so, yeah, I agree. Thank you for defending Asmongold. Since you're big, they'll hear it. I mean, listen, it's not about defending the game. Like, this is my best case scenario, okay? And I want people to understand this whenever I'm talking about any of these games or getting into any of this stuff. My best case scenario is for the game to be good. I want, and it is in my best interest for this game to be good. And the reason for that is because if more people like the game, more people will like watching the game. It is that simple. So it is in my best interest for this game to be good and to be a quality game that people enjoy playing. So by making the game better, I am acting and working in my own self-interest. It's not about defending or attacking the game or the players. It's about making the game the best quality experience possible. Yeah, the more people that are playing the game, the more people that I can have mule and give me materials.
Usually, these mini-games events come as a part of bigger event with a new island created just for the event. When I saw that
That's
racing
crazy.
event entrance in cities, I've never seen that happen before, which leads me to think they pulled this out in a hurry, as many people were complaining about the lack of content to earn the mats from.
Which was smart. Like, the Naruni racing event was a good idea. You guys agree with that, right? Yeah, like, you guys agree with that? Yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah, I think it's great. I love it. Do more of that.
And I think it's a very good card. However, I do think they need to give more materials. Maybe the mats for tier 1 and tier 2 as well, but bound mats. I think they should give out the materials just from Naruni Racing alone, but give more coins as reward because, I don't know, bots may start doing chaos dungeons soon for the currency. There are some other contents to farm the mats from, like the weekly Heroic Guardian raid, which we have in KR but is not implemented in the Western version yet.
So he says the same thing.
I have a feeling that this was delayed for the following reasons. In KR, we gatekeep this content by accepting users with at least 4 level 3 engravings. In KR, I'm not saying you guys have to do the same. I'm just saying that's the custom in KR. Because this is an equalized content where you have to do 3 Guardian raids with the rotation of from tier 1 to tier 3 Guardians, and only engravings will be taken into effect for this equalized content. And releasing this now for the West, where people barely have their engravings set up, would be just another pressure to set up the engravings. I believe
that's a good insight. I can see that being true. That like basically like introducing other very challenging content isn't really the solution because that challenging content will only push players in another direction. Maybe it is a good idea to have more things on the racing event instead. Yeah, I mean, no, I think he brings up a very good point here. This is, it makes me think because, like, I don't really know. Like, I'm hearing everything secondhand. So it's hard for me to say, like, this is what it should be or that's what it should be.
The challenge guardians will be added later when more people are ready and familiar with the whole guardian raids.
Yeah. Or
they will just have to nerf it again. PvP vendor should be added with the start of its season, which is, I heard, pretty soon.
Oh, shit,
with that said, let's talk a little bit about the pay-to-win aspects and the players.
Okay.
Seriously, speaking from a player's point of view with lots of hours on the game, and many others would agree, spending hundreds and thousands of dollars for Argos is not really rewarding.
It's fucking stupid. It is. It's fucking stupid. But people are going to do it because they can. That's all it comes down to. Like, they're going to do it because they can and because it exists. Because people don't really know that. Like, he says it's fucking stupid because he's played the game for years now. Like, he understands everything about it. He knows what the context is behind it. But the average NA player doesn't have that context. They just see Argos as like, wow, this is a really hard boss and we have to get to this level, right? So people, it's just... I think a lot of times you see this kind of stuff and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal because you know a lot of stuff about it and you know the context around it. But the average player doesn't know the context around it. I think that's what the difference is.
Content creators and streamers don't fall into the category because they do it for the content.
True.
However, if you're just a regular player and if you're loaded with money, there is this thing called the Esther weapon. Please wait for those. Personally,
What the hell is that?
I was always 1 to 2 months late to have a go at the latest content. I took my time to prepare myself, never paid any money to rush. A Bro Shoot Hard came out October last year, and I just recently started going at the raid. I've been spending cash for my weapon upgrade recently because gatekeeping is pretty bad for a Bro Shoot Hard mode, and because destroyers are not welcomed in that raid, I had to do a little bit extra. But I wouldn't have spent any money if Smilegate didn't tell us that we'll be staying with our current gear for a while. Well, anyways, in conclusion...
So that's what it is, right? So even he felt he had to spend money on the game, right? Like that's what it is. And also, like, I think the point that he brings up, it's actually very interesting because, like, the point that he brings up is actually one problem that I said, and this is why I said that pay to win in PvE matters. Do you remember, like, at the very beginning, whenever this game released, and I said that pay to win in PvE will matter because if other people are paying to win and you're not getting invited and they are? And I said that, and I'm like, oh, no, that people are like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You're wrong. You're stupid. There it is. A person in a completely different fucking region, totally different culture, completely different world, and they are saying the same fucking thing. His was a class-specific example. So you think they would have invited him? Like, that there's not going to be gatekeeping outside of that? Like, yes, I understand that he was a class-specific example, but, like, how does that make it any better? So, like, if you're not playing a meta class, then you have to pay money? Like, yeah, like, obviously, it makes it, like, let's say it was, like, 100% bad, it makes it 90% bad, or 80% bad. You see what I mean? This is what I've said about this game, okay? I want to make this very clear. I will give, actually, I'll explain this after the video. Let me finish the video, I'll talk about this afterwards.
What I want to say is, a Smile Zone probably have their reasoning for not buffing the honing rates. But it is a fact that this Suffocate Zone is an unpleasant experience for the users. So, buff the hell out of Naruni Racing event. That's all I have to say for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Oh, I think that actually, like, his perspective isn't really as different as I would have expected it to be. I don't really think that it is. So what he's saying is that, so he's saying buff the Naruni Racing event and not add the new content because the new content has different forms of gatekeeping that exist in KR. And he says, so that's the problem with adding in the new content. The problem with, like, making it way easier in general is to, you know, then players will basically get a false idea of what the game is like and then quit later on. But overall, I think that, I think that he still thinks the same thing that I think, is they need to just add more material sources. Like, basically, it's what I said before. It's like, not only are you getting less materials, but the upgrades are more expensive. So this is what I'm going to do, okay? I want to explain this real quick before I move on. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about this over the last, you know, couple of months, etc., and all of this. And I want to talk about what I'm going to do. I am going to give Amazon and Smilegate 10 days. They're going to have 10 days to solve this problem. Even if they announce a roadmap, announce a change, even if it doesn't happen in 10 days, I just need some communication that it will happen in 10 days. Because if they don't, on the 11th day, or the 12th day, depending on what my schedule is, I will do a whaling stream and show everybody in the game how pay to win it really is. I will show everybody how pay to win the game is. That's what will happen. I don't want to do it. I don't want to because I think it will make the game look bad. But I will do it. And that's it. And pay to win thrashing stream, yes, it will put it in front of everybody. It will show everybody what it's really like. Because a lot of people, like, the thing is, it's like, you know how Jesus died for your sins, right? Well, I'm going to spend $5,000 for their sins. And that way you don't have to commit the same ones that I did. Do you understand? That's how it makes sense. Punishing them by giving them money? Yes, exactly. A video showing how bad that is worth infinitely more than $5,000, and everybody knows it. It's a small price to pay. Yeah, I don't know, maybe 10,000? I might do 10,000, I haven't decided. What makes you think you have any power? Because game companies pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars to play their games. Yep, that's why. They wouldn't do that if it didn't have influence. Yep, that's why. It makes sense. And Rich is doing that. Simps don't care. Yep, that's right. But whenever I do it, it'll be different. Weird flex, but okay. It was a weird question. That's what you get. So yeah, that's the way I feel about it. And you have a daily limit of money you can use? Yeah, I know. I'll have to do it a couple of days in advance. I know that. You can only spend $1,000 a day in this game. If you actually want to do the damage, you just stop streaming it? No? Not really. I don't think so. And I think after that, I'd probably be pretty much done because I'd be done with the content anyway, right? So, like, yeah. But I do think that they'll change it. Breakdown on each purchase with comparisons. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do a detailed accounting of everything that it's involving that, okay? Yeah, don't worry about it. Everyone Asmon does it? Yeah, yeah. You want something? Damn, dude, don't give it to him. Give it to me. I could get back to... Shut up. Shut up. I knew this was going to be... Is today one? Is tomorrow day number one? Tomorrow is day number one. Tomorrow will be day number one. So that means on the, what would this be? Tomorrow, so it's 17th, the 27th. So the earliest it would be either the 28th or the 29th. That's what the plan is going to be, guys. Yeah, it's okay. I'll do, yeah, I will do it. And if you need to use business days, nope, that's not right. No, you work every day. Work every day, no breaks. No fucking breaks. And so I had to start fresh alt to 1400 with money and show everything. A fresh alt to 1400 with just pure money. I could do that, sure. And we will do I want to pay people. This is what my plan is, right? Is I'm going to pay people to do a detailed itemization accounting for every single item that I received and its dollar value. Every single thing. I'm going to do the entire fucking thing. So again, fresh alt would be great. That's probably what I'll do. I'll do a fresh alt. That's what I'm expecting. It might be a main or new account. I haven't really decided. Yeah, you only spend $1,000 a day. You can only buy $1,000. So I would have to start buying the things ahead of time. And that's what it would be. What exactly does this prove or justify? Just giving them more money based on something everybody knows? No, everybody doesn't know. They don't really know. I guarantee you they don't really know. Whenever I do it and I show it and I put the numbers down, it will be different. I guarantee fucking to you. People assume it and they're like, you know, it's kind of what it is, etc., whatever. Yeah, what about Shroud doing 20,000? It's a different context. So yeah, that's what it is. What if it backfires and you get 15 item levels for 5k? That'd be great. Yeah, imagine I'd only get 15 item levels. Like, that'd be so good, man. People just interpret it differently? Yes, exactly. Break down how long it takes to farm in a game? Exactly, and I'll do that too. Sounds like you're looking for an excuse to pay to win? No, because I know, like, here's my best case scenario, okay, with this. It's very simple. Oh, let me link the video too. This is from Benji. We haven't watched his videos before. I want to explain what my best case scenario is. I think there is a very, very high chance that in the next 10 days, they will come out with some form of information about the game. And then I get to take credit for it.